Welcome to InfoStream, your daily current. Unsure what to listen to? Turn to us for today's headlines. Stay informed. France recognizes Palestinian state. Significant conflict continues globally. Executions documented in Gaza City. Airports closed due to drone sightings. Secret Service thwarts Telecom threat. China's carrier achieves technological advance. Pakistan and Saudi Arabia sign defense pact. West African nations exit ICC. Duterte faces ICC charges. Super Typhoon Ragasa disrupts travel. Nvidia invests heavily in OpenAI. US assists Argentina during crisis. Porsche shares decline due to EV delays. Jaguar Land Rover production halted by cyberattack. Alaa Abdel Fattah's release brings hope. France leads nations recognizing Palestinian state amidst international conflict, a surge of nations, including France, Monaco, Malta, Luxembourg, Belgium, and others, formally recognized a Palestinian state at the United Nations, marking a significant diplomatic escalation amidst the ongoing Israel-Hamas conflict and escalating tensions in the West Bank. The move, spearheaded by France and Saudi Arabia, aims to revitalize efforts toward a two-state solution and address the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. Key figures involved include French President Emmanuel Macron, UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, and Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas. The recognition comes as a direct response to the deteriorating situation in Gaza and Israel's continued expansion of settlements in the West Bank. The initiative seeks to pressure Israel into returning hostages and establishing a framework for a viable Palestinian state. However, the United States remains the sole permanent member of the UN Security Council, refusing to acknowledge Palestinian statehood, further complicating the situation. Israel vehemently opposes the recognition, viewing it as a reward for Hamas and a threat to its security. Prime Minister Netanyahu vowed to fight against slanderous propaganda and called for immediate countermeasures, including asserting sovereignty over the occupied West Bank. The far-right National Security Minister, Itamar Ben-Gvir, advocated for dismantling the Palestinian Authority. The UN's recognition is intended to create a more conducive environment for negotiations. Secretary-General Guterres emphasized that statehood is a right, not a reward, and is crucial for achieving lasting peace. The initiative is anchored in a 22 September initiative, which involves concrete commitments from the Palestinian Authority, including reforms and holding elections. Despite the diplomatic push, the United States continues to maintain a firm stance, prioritizing Israel's security concerns. The situation remains deeply complex, with significant divisions among international actors. The recognition represents a significant shift in global opinion, but faces considerable resistance, particularly from the United States. The future of the two-state solution remains uncertain, but this latest development underscores the urgency of finding a peaceful resolution to the decades-old conflict. Public executions recorded in Gaza City Street. Recent footage circulating depicts public executions of 3 men in Gaza City, occurring on a street adjacent to Shifa Hospital, a key area within Israel's ongoing ground offensive. BBC Verify has confirmed the location's authenticity. The videos show at least 5 armed and masked individuals, including 3 blindfolded Palestinian men, kneeling while a large crowd was present. One of the armed men declared the death sentence for collaborators. The executions involved the shooting of the men multiple times in the back of the head, accompanied by cheers from the assembled crowd praising Hamas's Qassam brigades. A Hamas-run government official identified the executions as being carried out by the Joint Operations Room of the Palestinian Resistance. This marks a rare instance of public executions captured on video in Gaza. Previous reports indicated Hamas's use of violence against those perceived to dissent. In May, Hamas-led groups executed 4 Palestinians for looting aid trucks. During the executions, Yasser Abu Shabab, identified as a major collaborator, was specifically targeted for elimination. Abu Shabab leads a clan armed by the Israeli government and operating in Rafah, an area under Israeli military control. He has publicly refuted claims of Israeli weapons supply. The situation reflects a broader shift in Gaza, with Hamas losing control and armed clans filling the void. July saw Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu confirm the arming of these clans, opposing Hamas. A Hamas security officer reported significant loss of control and the rise of these clans. These groups, including Abu Shabab's, are recruiting via social media. Other opposing groups have emerged in northern Gaza and near Khan Yunis, further destabilizing the region. The events underscore the escalating violence and complex dynamics within Gaza. MMR vaccine uptake and recent measles outbreaks. Recent reports highlight concerning trends in measles vaccine uptake across the United States and the United Kingdom, alongside a significant measles outbreak in the U.S. Data reveals that measles vaccine preventable remains a public health concern due to declining vaccination rates. In the US, estimates indicate that 90.3% of children received their first MMR dose by the age of 2, falling short of the recommended 95% and the country's own target of 90.8% by that age. This data, covering children born in 2020 and 21, reflects a broader decline in vaccine coverage compared to those born in 2018-2019. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, identified this reduction as occurring during the COVID-19 pandemic, potentially impacting vaccination schedules. Conversely, the United Kingdom experiences a similar situation, with 89.3% of children receiving the MMR first dose by age 2 and 92.3% by age 5. This decline mirrors a pattern observed in the early 2000s, directly linked to the discredited research of Andrew Wakefield. Wakefield's fraudulent study falsely linked the MMR vaccine to autism, leading to a substantial drop in vaccination rates for several years. Despite being removed from the UK's medical register for unethical research, Wakefield's influence persisted. The US is currently grappling with a measles outbreak, with nearly 500 confirmed cases as of September 16th. Alarmingly, 2/3 of these cases involve individuals under 20, and 92% are unvaccinated or have unclear vaccination statuses. This outbreak has resulted in 181 hospitalizations and 3 deaths. These statistics underscore the critical importance of maintaining high vaccination rates to prevent outbreaks of this highly contagious disease. The situation highlights the ongoing need for public health initiatives aimed at promoting vaccine confidence and addressing misinformation, particularly in light of Wakefield's past influence. Danish and Norwegian airports forced to close temporarily over drone sightings. Two of Scandinavia's busiest airports, Copenhagen and Oslo, experienced significant disruptions overnight as airspace closures were implemented due to multiple drone sightings. Danish police confirmed the presence of 2 to 3 large, unidentified drones circling Copenhagen airport for several hours, prompting the suspension of all takeoffs and landings for approximately 4 hours. Authorities described the operator as capable and potentially intending to show off, though no suspects were immediately identified. The incident triggered investigations and raised concerns about potential malicious intent. The situation quickly escalated, with Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen stating that the events constituted the most serious attack on Danish critical infrastructure to date. She refrained from naming specific perpetrators, but acknowledged the possibility of Russian involvement, aligning with a broader pattern of suspected Russian drone incursions into Polish and Romanian airspace, as well as reported violations of Estonian airspace by Russian fighter jets. Oslo Airport also faced a 3-hour closure due to a separate drone sighting, leading to the redirection of incoming flights to nearby airports. Police in Norway had previously arrested 2 foreign nationals for flying drones over a restricted area, the Akershus Fortress, though there was no immediate connection established to the airport incidents. European security officials, including European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, expressed alarm over the escalating situation, highlighting the vulnerability of critical infrastructure and the need for a strong response. Russian officials consistently denied any involvement, dismissing accusations as unfounded and emphasizing adherence to international regulations. The incidents have heightened security concerns across Europe, prompting increased vigilance and bolstering NATO's defenses on the bloc's eastern flank. Investigations are ongoing, exploring various hypotheses, including the possibility of the drones being launched from ships near the Danish shipping lane. Authorities are analyzing data from marina traffic, and monitoring the situation closely, with no definitive conclusions drawn at this time regarding the origin or purpose of the drones. The events underscore a growing trend of hybrid threats and underscore the need for enhanced security measures to protect vital infrastructure. Secret Service disrupts Telecom threat near UN General Assembly. A recent intelligence operations by the United States Secret Service have uncovered and neutralized a sophisticated network capable of disrupting cellular communications within a critical zone surrounding the United Nations General Assembly in New York City. The discovery, made last month, represents a significant security concern as world leaders convened for the annual gathering. The Secret Service identified a network comprised of over 300 SAM servers and 100,000 SAM cards, specifically designed to launch coordinated attacks targeting cellular infrastructure. According to agency officials, this network possessed the potential to disable cell phone towers, effectively shutting down the cellular network across a wide area encompassing parts of New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut. The scale of this potential disruption is alarming, with estimates suggesting the network could have generated up to 30 million disruptive texts per minute. The strategic location of the network, just 35 miles, 56 km from the UN headquarters, heightened the immediate threat. The Secret Service's swift action demonstrates a proactive approach to safeguarding critical infrastructure and ensuring the security of the UN General Assembly. The agency's investigation indicates a deliberate effort to exploit vulnerabilities within the telecommunications system. The operation underscores the ongoing vigilance required to counter potential threats during international summits and high-profile events. The investigation is ongoing, with authorities continuing to assess the full scope of the network and any potential involvement. This discovery highlights the importance of robust security measures and intelligence gathering to protect against evolving cyber threats. The agency's response demonstrates a commitment to maintaining a secure environment for diplomatic proceedings and global cooperation. China's new aircraft carrier achieves key technological milestone. China's newest aircraft carrier, the Fujian, has successfully completed initial tests utilizing its electromagnetic catapult system Amidst, marking a significant advancement in its naval capabilities. This technology, currently exclusive to the U.S. Navy's USS Gerald R. Ford, allows for heavier aircraft loads and longer combat ranges compared to China's previous carriers, the Shandong and Liaoning, which employ ski jump launch systems. The successful tests, including catapult launches and arrested landings, suggest the carrier's commissioning could occur within weeks, according to analyst Carl Schuster. Further certifications are expected in the coming months, with final integration trials with the PLA Air Force and Rocket Force planned for spring. The Amidst system enables the Fujian to operate with blue water capabilities, significantly expanding China's naval reach. Unlike the Fujian's conventional fuel powering, the U.S. Navy's carriers rely on nuclear power, granting them extended operational endurance. This technological leap is occurring as a bipartisan U.S. congressional delegation, led by Representative Adam Smith, is currently in Beijing to bolster military-to-military communication between the two nations. Smith emphasized the critical need for regular dialogue to prevent miscalculations given China's rapid military growth and nuclear capabilities, highlighting concerns about near-miss incidents involving naval forces. The delegation's visit follows a recent phone call between U.S. President Donald Trump and Chinese leader Xi Jinping, and a planned meeting between them at the APEC summit in South Korea. Both leaders have expressed a desire to resume high-level engagement and potentially hold a summit. Chinese Defense Minister Dong Jun called for the removal of disruptive and restrictive factors to improve U.S.-China military relations. The rapid development of AI drones, cyber and space capabilities has further complicated the situation, demanding enhanced communication and understanding. The U.S. delegation's meetings included discussions with Premier Li Qiang, Defense Minister Dong Jun, and Vice Premier He Lifeng, who is leading trade talks with China. The overall goal is to establish clearer lines of communication and prevent potential conflicts amid growing military competition. The Pakistan-Saudi Defense Pact, a strategic shift, and Indian concerns. And recent developments involving a strategic mutual defense agreement between Pakistan and Saudi Arabia have sparked significant concern in India, primarily due to the potential reshaping of regional security dynamics. The pact, signed following a landmark agreement between Pakistani Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif and Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, has prompted anxieties regarding India's security posture. The agreement, formalized amidst ongoing tensions between India and Pakistan, including a recent 4-day conflict, establishes a commitment that any aggression against either country shall be considered an aggression against both. Indian analysts, including Brahma Chelani, view the pact as a direct threat, highlighting Saudi Arabia's ambitions and Pakistan's precarious economic situation. The deal is seen as a move to bind a chronically dependent partner, granting Riyadh manpower and nuclear insurance, while simultaneously demonstrating its independence from traditional alliances. Former Indian Foreign Secretary Kanwal Sibal warned of the dangers posed by a politically unstable and economically weakened Pakistan as a security provider. However, not all analysts are alarmed. Michael Kugelman cautions against overstating the risks, noting that Saudi Arabia values balanced ties with India, a key trading partner and oil buyer. The deal is described as formalizing a long-standing Saudi-Pakistan understanding dating back to the 1960s, characterized by deep defense ties, including Pakistani troop deployments and military assistance. The pact reflects a broader shift in Saudi Arabia's security strategy, driven by declining faith in the U.S. security umbrella and growing concerns about regional rivalries, particularly with Iran and Israel. Saudi Arabia is seeking to diversify its security partnerships and leverage Pakistan's nuclear power status for deterrence. The deal is less about immediate battlefield commitments and more about signaling intent. Despite these concerns, India's Narendra Modi-led government acknowledges the pact's implications and seeks to maintain its relationship with both Saudi Arabia and Pakistan, recognizing the complex geopolitical landscape. The agreement underscores the evolving security dynamics within the Middle East and its potential ramifications for regional stability and India's security interests. West African nations withdraw from the International Criminal Court. 3 West African nations, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, have collectively announced their immediate withdrawal from the International Criminal Court, ICC, citing concerns about the court's effectiveness and alleged bias. The decision, made by interim leaders, reflects a deepening alignment with Russia and a rejection of Western-backed institutions. The 3 countries, governed by military juntas following coups between 2020 and 2023, framed the ICC as an instrument of neo-colonialist repression, asserting their intention to establish indigenous mechanisms for the consolidation of peace and justice. This move follows a broader pattern of isolation for the nations, including simultaneous withdrawals from the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, in response to ECOWAS's demands for the restoration of democratic rule. Russia has significantly strengthened its ties with these Sahel countries, a strategic shift that has distanced them from Western influence, particularly France, a former colonial power. The ICC's history is notable, having launched 33 cases since 2002, with all but one involving African nations, fueling accusations of a bias against less privileged countries. The leader's justification echoes criticisms voiced by Rwanda's President Paul Kagame, further solidifying the narrative of anti-African bias. The ICC's mandate encompasses investigating and prosecuting genocide, crimes against humanity, war crimes, and aggression. Notably, the ICC issued an arrest warrant for Russia's President Vladimir Putin in 2023, related to alleged war crimes in Ukraine, adding another layer of geopolitical complexity to the situation. The withdrawal process officially takes effect 1 year after notification to the UN. The ongoing violence in the region, perpetrated by jihadist groups linked to Al-Qaeda and the Islamic State, continues to shape the political landscape, contributing to the nation's decision to distance themselves from international legal bodies. ICC charges former Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte with crimes against humanity. The International Criminal Court, ICC, has formally charged former Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte with crimes against humanity stemming from the war on drugs campaign he initiated during his time in office. The charges, unveiled after a delay, allege Duterte's direct responsibility for the deaths of numerous individuals, primarily low-level drug dealers, users, and others who were killed without due process. The investigation, spanning from 2013 to 2022, focuses on the period when he served as mayor of Davao City and subsequently as president of the Philippines. The initial charge concerns the deaths of 19 individuals in Davao City between 2013 and 2016. Subsequent charges relate to the killings of 14 high-value targets across the country and the involvement in the murder, an attempted murder of 45 people during village clearance operations. Prosecutors assert that Duterte and his alleged co-perpetrators shared a common plan to neutralize alleged criminals associated with drug use, sale, or production through violent crimes including murder. The ICC's deputy prosecutor, May Mandianian, describes Duterte as an indirect co-perpetrator, indicating that the killings were carried out by others. Despite the charges, Duterte has repeatedly defended his actions, asserting that his crackdown effectively reduced street crimes. Estimates of the total number of deaths attributed to the war on drugs vary significantly, with activists suggesting the actual figure could exceed tens of thousands. The ICC's investigation highlights concerns regarding the legality and human rights implications of Duterte's policies. The case represents a significant legal challenge for Duterte and underscores the ICC's role in investigating and prosecuting alleged perpetrators of the most serious international crimes. Super Typhoon Ragasa, global travel disrupted as storm intensifies. Super Typhoon Ragasa, currently categorized as a Category 5 hurricane equivalent, is causing widespread disruption across southern China and the Philippines. The storm, dubbed the King of Storms by China's meteorological agency, has triggered mass evacuations, flight cancellations, and significant infrastructure concerns. Over 370,000 people have been evacuated in Guangdong province, while Hong Kong has upgraded its typhoon warning to the second highest level. The storm's impact is being felt globally, with thousands of passengers scrambling to rearrange flights at Hong Kong International Airport. Airlines, including Cathay Pacific, HK Express, and Hong Kong Airlines, have canceled hundreds of flights, leading to chaotic scenes at the airport as travelers attempt to secure alternative routes. Passengers are experiencing difficulties due to conflicting information from airlines and third-party booking agencies, causing significant delays and frustration. In the Philippines, Ragasa made landfall in the Babuyan Islands, causing damage including ripped-off school roofs and swaying coconut trees. Thousands were evacuated from the affected islands, highlighting the vulnerability of remote communities. The storm is now moving towards southern China, posing a serious threat to Hong Kong, according to Chief Secretary Eric Chan, comparing it to previous devastating typhoons. The airport authority confirmed that the facility will continue operating throughout the storm, with a suspension of flights starting Tuesday evening and resuming gradually after Thursday. Airlines are offering flexible rebooking options and refunds to affected passengers. Concerns are focused on potential flooding, storm surges, and landslides across the region. The situation underscores the increasing risks posed by extreme weather events, particularly the potential for climate change to intensify tropical storms. While Ragasa's impact on Taiwan is expected to be less direct, heavy rains are forecast for the east coast, leading to the closure of forest areas and nature trails. The coordinated response involves airport employees from various government departments and airlines, ensuring continued operations despite the challenging conditions. Nvidia's $100 billion investment in OpenAI fuels AI race. In a landmark agreement, Nvidia, the world's most valuable company, is committing up to $100 billion to $73 billion to OpenAI, the creators of ChatGPT. This strategic partnership represents a significant escalation in the global race for artificial intelligence dominance, with China emerging as a key rival. The investment will primarily be directed towards bolstering OpenAI's data centers, facilitating the development of next-generation AI infrastructure, as stated by Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang. This move underscores Nvidia's commitment to supplying the high-performance chips crucial for AI processing. The collaboration involves a broad network of partners, including Microsoft, Oracle, SoftBank, and Stargate, all focused on establishing the world's most advanced AI infrastructure. This signifies a concerted effort to accelerate innovation and deployment across various AI applications. However, the investment is occurring amidst increasing regulatory scrutiny and geopolitical tensions. Nvidia's actions have drawn criticism from China, which accused the company of violating anti-monopoly laws, leading to a halt in purchases of Nvidia's AI chips. To secure export licenses and circumvent U.S. government restrictions on AI chip sales to China, Nvidia and AMD recently agreed to pay 15% of Chinese revenues. This demonstrates the complex interplay of commercial interests and government policy shaping the AI landscape. The situation highlights the intensifying competition between U.S. and Chinese tech giants and the significant implications for the future of artificial intelligence development and distribution. The agreement is poised to dramatically impact the trajectory of AI innovation and its global reach. U.S. offers support as Argentina faces financial crisis. The United States has announced it is considering a range of measures to assist Argentina in addressing its escalating fiscal turmoil, stating all options are on the table. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent's declaration followed recent election losses for President Javier Milei, a libertarian economist and ally of Donald Trump, raising concerns about the viability of Milei's radical cost-cutting and free market reforms designed to combat soaring inflation. The peso's dramatic devaluation, coupled with investor outflows from Argentine stocks and bonds, has created a precarious situation. The Argentine central bank's intervention, involving a significant expenditure of its reserves, has further weakened the country's financial position and ability to meet its debt obligations. The U.S. government is contemplating interventions such as purchasing Argentine pesos and dollar-denominated government debt to stabilize the situation. These discussions will be formalized following a meeting between President Trump and President Milei in New York on Tuesday. President Milei expressed profound gratitude for the U.S.'s commitment, which immediately bolstered Argentine financial markets, particularly for dollar-denominated debt. He emphasized the importance of collaboration among those advocating for freedom and the welfare of their respective peoples. Milei's policies, including substantial social program cuts and reforms, have faced domestic challenges, particularly following recent local election setbacks and a bribery scandal involving his sister. Argentina is scheduled to hold national midterm elections in October, anticipated to serve as a gauge of public opinion regarding Milei's controversial economic agenda. The U.S.'s willingness to intervene signals a strategic interest in Argentina's stability, reflecting a long-standing relationship and recognizing the country's significance within Latin America. The meeting between Trump and Milei is expected to be a crucial step in solidifying this support and outlining a path forward for Argentina's economic recovery. Porsche shares plummet amidst EV rollout delay and market challenges. Porsche shares experienced a significant decline following the announcement of a delayed rollout of its electric vehicle EV strategy, mirroring broader difficulties faced by European automotive manufacturers. The downturn extended to Volkswagen, its parent company, with shares plummeting by over 7% concurrently. This shift reflects intensified competition from Chinese EV brands like BYD and XPeng, alongside a weakening global economy impacting luxury car demand. The German firm's strategic recalibration stems from a confluence of factors, including U.S. import tariffs, a decline in the Chinese luxury market, and the slower-than-anticipated transition to electric mobility. Porsche has reduced its projected profit margin from up to 7% to 2% or less, highlighting the severity of the challenges. The company's decision involves delaying the launch of new EVs and extending the production of combustion engine models, a move influenced by the European market's impending 2035 ban on new petrol and diesel vehicles. A key element of the shift involves a strategic change in its upcoming sport utility vehicle line, initially planned as fully electric, which will now exclusively launch with combustion engines and plug-in hybrid options. Existing models such as the Panamera and Cayenne will continue to be available, with non-electric options well into the 2030s. Luxury car makers BMW and Mercedes-Benz are also implementing cost-cutting measures to compete effectively. The Chinese market presents a particular challenge, with average car prices dropping by approximately 19% over the past 2 years to around 165,000 yuan of 1,750 the 2019 yuan. Porsche's decision represents a retreat from its earlier ambitious electric goals, particularly following the unveiling of the Mission E-concept car a decade prior, indicating a pragmatic response to evolving market dynamics and competitive pressures. The overall situation underscores the complexities facing European automakers in a rapidly changing automotive landscape. Jaguar Land Rover production shutdown prolonged amidst cyber attack. Jaguar Land Rover's production remains suspended indefinitely, extending beyond initial projections, following a significant cyber attack that crippled its IT networks at the end of August. The business secretary and industry minister undertook a visit to the West Midlands to assess the situation and support the company and its supply chain. The disruption has impacted approximately 1,000 cars produced daily across the company's 3 UK factories, Solihull, Halewood, and Wolverhampton. Experts estimate the weekly financial loss for JLR alone to be at least 50 million, highlighting the severity of the situation. The cyberattack has triggered widespread concerns about the stability of JLR's supply chain, particularly for smaller businesses that could face financial collapse without continued support. Industry analysts predict a significant impact on the government, potentially necessitating furlough schemes, loans, or an increased welfare bill if layoffs occur. The National Cybersecurity Center and the National Crime Agency are currently providing assistance to JLR. Politicians and union leaders are advocating for government intervention to mitigate the potential damage. Concerns are mounting that the shutdown could lead to the disintegration of the entire supply chain, particularly if skilled labor is lost or businesses fail. JLR's supply chain is vital to the West Midlands economy and the broader UK economy. The Labour MP for Tipton and Wednesbury, Antonia Bance, emphasized the risk of a complete breakdown if JLR's restart is not properly coordinated with its suppliers. The Liberal Democrats have also called for government intervention, stressing the importance of the car industry to the region. Negotiations are ongoing between JLR, government officials, and supply chain partners to determine a path forward, with the ultimate goal of restoring production and minimizing the economic fallout. The situation remains fluid, with ongoing discussions focusing on providing crucial support to vulnerable businesses within the supply chain. Alaa Abdel Fattah's release sparks hope and calls for further reform. A British-Egyptian activist, Alaa Abdel Fattah, was unexpectedly released from Wadi al-Natron prison on Monday after spending 6 years in detention, a period marked by multiple arrests and convictions. The release, ordered by President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, followed a sustained international campaign led by his family and supported by the UK government. Abdel Fattah, who holds British citizenship, had been imprisoned since 2014, following the military's overthrow of President Mohamed Morsi. He faced a series of charges, including participating in unauthorized protests and spreading false news, resulting in multiple 5-year sentences. The release followed a petition from Egypt's National Council for Human Rights, UNCHR, and a study into the humanitarian conditions of detainees and their families. His sister, Mona Seif, expressed immense joy and anticipation, highlighting the collective hope generated by the event. She acknowledged her mother's pivotal role through a 287-day hunger strike, which exerted significant pressure. The UN Working Group on Arbitrary Detention had previously ruled that Abdel Fattah's arrest was arbitrary and lacked a fair trial. The UK Foreign Secretary, Yvette Cooper, welcomed the pardon, expressing hope that it would be a catalyst for the release of other political prisoners and represent a shift in Egypt's approach to freedom of expression. The NCHR described the pardon as a step that underscores a growing commitment to reinforcing the principles of swift justice and upholding fundamental rights and freedoms. Despite the joyous occasion, concerns remain regarding Abdel Fattah's ability to reunite with his 13-year-old son, Kyle, who resides in Brighton, and the broader situation of thousands of political prisoners in Egypt. The campaign for his release emphasized the injustice of his prolonged detention and the need for fundamental reforms within the Egyptian justice system. The release is viewed as a significant moment, but the fight for broader human rights improvements in Egypt continues. The NCHR hopes the pardon will pave the way for granting amnesty to those sentenced for expressing their opinions.